So, what do you do? Do you have an answer that you love for that question? I didn't. It was 2013, I was living in New York City, and a friend of mine told me about a conference that I absolutely had to be at in San Diego, which was one of my favorite cities, so it didn't take too much to twist my arm to go. So I bought a ticket and I went. She said, the speakers are going to be amazing, but the attendees are going to be amazing, just like here at Craft and Commerce. So I went. Normally I try to sit in front at conferences, but that day I had a little bit of a late start going from New York to San Diego and didn't have my coffee yet that day. So I sat in the back. And the first speaker was amazing, just like she said. And after that, he said, why don't you turn around and meet the person next to you? Pretty standard conference fare. So I did, and he said, so what's your name? What do you do? That question. And for whatever reason, maybe it's because I was not caffeinated enough that morning, but I had the most long, boring, rambling, drawn-out introduction. I covered that I was from Wisconsin, and I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, and my favorite flavors of ice cream. And I was just rambling on and on and on, and I finally caught myself, and I was like, to stop myself, I said, well, what's your name? What do you do? And he said, well, my name's Matt, and I run a little software company. And I said, that's cool. I'm into software. I'm into startups. What's it called? And he was just as cool as Fonzie. The guy was just calm. He's just chill. He's like, it's called Automatic. Some chuckles. I knew who Matt Mullenweg was. Matt Mullenweg is the founder of Automatic, which is the creator of WordPress that powers 30% of the internet and probably a similar percentage of websites in this room. And I knew who he was, but Matt doesn't have a lot of photos of himself online, and I kind of knew what he looked like, but like I said, his hair was wet. I didn't have enough coffee that day. And in the exact moment that I met Matt, it looked like this. The event photographer snapped this picture. Do you guys remember the old Chris Farley SNL skits, R.I.P. Chris Farley? He'd be like, oh, it's so stupid. Can't believe I introduced myself that way. Well, that was me and Matt. So I have no idea to this day who the next speaker was, because I sort of just Chris Farley'd my way around the grounds of the conference, basically being like, how do I never do that again? How do I never introduce myself so poorly ever again? I just wanted to solve it for myself. So I researched introductions, and I found out, how do we do this? How do we learn this? What do we talk about? And that's what I'm here to talk to you guys about today, is how we show up in the world, because everything starts with how we show up and how we connect with people, and that often starts with a simple question, so what do you do? But before we get into that, I want to talk for a second about the word perfect, because we don't have to scroll very far online, on Instagram or Pinterest, to find some nice person, well-meaning person bashing the word perfect. Nobody's perfect. Don't try to be perfect. Perfect's the enemy of good. I get it. Perfectionism is a problem, and we have to ship our work, for sure. But I don't think all these little quotes that bash perfect actually help us ship our work faster. I think they're just a fun thing to post to Instagram. I think the way that we conquer perfectionism is to make perfect smaller. You guys know what the emoji, when you type perfect into your keyboard, is? It's this. Why are we so scared of this? It's just perfect. We say it all the time. I had that meal. It was perfect. I had that drink. Met with Barrett last night. It was perfect. Can we just make perfect smaller as a way to accomplish that? So we're in these conversations all the time. I want to talk about the perfect conversation. This is one of my favorite scenes from one of my favorite movies, Good Will Hunting. And Matt Damon's character is talking to Robin Williams' character. And Matt Damon says, I met this girl, and she's perfect. And Robin Williams, the wise old sage, says, I got news for you, champ. This girl you met, she's not perfect, and neither are you. But maybe, just maybe, you're perfect for each other. So the perfect conversation is one that leads to real human connection. I'm going to say that again. The perfect conversation is one that leads to real human connection. Because before we can get the phone number, before we can sign the sponsorship deal, before we can close the sale, before you can maybe meet your soulmate, there has to be real human connection. You can't do anything useful in a conversation before you have real human connection. So why don't we optimize our conversations for that? So if you're anything like me, there was at least one night in high school, or college, or university. If you're like me, there were a few nights where you're trying to cram a whole semester's worth of information into your brain in the last minute. And you just wish your friend Nathan, if you're like me, had that illicit thought at 3 a.m., crushed cans of Red Bull on the floor and empty pizza boxes, cramming for your Japanese final. And you just wish your friend Nathan would slide the test under the door. I did. I would look at my dorm room door and just be like, maybe, I don't know, maybe it would happen. Nathan never gave me the final exam, never told me, because if we knew the test, we would study just the questions that were going to be on the test, and we wouldn't just ace it, we would finish early. Well, Nathan never hooked me up, but I'm here today to hook you guys up, and I'm going to tell you the question that's going to be on the test today, tomorrow, and literally every day for the rest of your life.
What do you do?
So what do you do?
What do you do?
What do you do? What do you do? What do you do?
What do you do?
What do you do?
What do you do?
What do you do?
What do you do again?
Seriously, what do you do?
So what do you do?
What do you do?
And what do you do?
What do you do? What do you do?
What do you do? So what do you do?
What do you do?
What do you do? What do you do? What do you do, bro?
So what do you do?
You guys could name all of those movies and all of those TV shows, but that scene doesn't register. That's not the line you remember because it happens so often. Introductions matter because they happen a lot. We meet 3 people per day. That's 1,000 people per year, and pretty conservatively, 50,000 people in your adult lifetime. It happens a lot, so it's worth getting right. I love coffee. I'm a coffee geek. This is my Chemex setup at home. When I'm on the road, I try to find the cool, nice high-end coffee shops. Sometimes they have really cool branding and really cool names like Valor, and then sometimes you're in Boise and they have names like Java Coffee and Cafe. Less creative names. What's crazy to me, this is right around the corner from our Airbnb, notice the top of the sign says, "Wake up and live," like this person's like excited, and I'm like, you named your coffee shop Java Coffee and Cafe. I think that dude needs something stronger than coffee. And this has nothing to do with the presentation, but if you don't think perfect exists, this is the espresso machine. This is La Marzocco and Emelon Dior collab. I mean, they made Wicker look good. That's how luxurious this thing is. It's perfect. So every day, we make coffee, we shower, we brush our teeth, we get dressed, we walk around, and we introduce ourselves. We do all of these things well, right? I make coffee the way that I want to make it because I've been doing it for a long time. I brush my teeth. I haven't put my pants on backwards in a while. I don't fall down in the shower. But we don't introduce ourselves well. It's the one thing we do poorly. In fact, poorly explaining what we do is our most frequent mistake. It may not be our absolute biggest mistake, but it's our most frequent. Why? Good question, Simon. We never get taught. We get taught poorly, and we believe in the 3 myths of introductions. So number 1, we never get taught. To get a driver's license, at least here in the US, you still have to sit next to some guy who smells like In-N-Out and prove that you can parallel park on a hill and remember to pull the emergency brake. And then they give you a little plastic card that says you can drive heavy machinery or a Toyota Prius. There's no driver's license for introductions, which is why we crash them every day. Some are fender benders and some are horrific crashes. Number 2, if we do get taught, we get taught poorly. Other than this speech right now, yell it out, what's the one other way that you've been taught how to introduce yourself? The elevator pitch, thank you. Let's all do it together. TMSS, first of its kind sales, customer service management, dedicated system, the transportation, freight forwarding, logistics, supply chain, industry, including, what? What is this? And why are we teaching it, and why are we spelling second wrong? Craft and commerce, will you help me kill the elevator pitch? Please? Number 1, it doesn't actually happen. It's a clever name, and it's a clever concept. The idea was, someday you might get in an elevator with Steve Jobs. You're not going to get an elevator with Steve Jobs ever again. Number 2, nobody wants to be pitched, especially in a small metal box where they can't escape. And number 3, don't think too hard. I know it's early. Think of what gets bought and sold in elevators. I don't think anyone here is in that business. It's a cheesy framework that doesn't actually happen. So, real quick story about elevators. Most of the elevators made in North America are made by the Otis Corporation. And the namesake of the Otis Corporation is a guy named Elisha Otis. Elisha didn't invent the elevator, but he invented something just as important: the elevator brake. Ah, yes. Before the elevator break, elevators existed for a little while, but if the cable broke, the elevator plummeted to the bottom of the shaft, and it was very bad news for everyone inside. So Elisha invented a brake system. This is an illustration of him demonstrating it at Crystal Palace, which is Bryant Park for you New Yorkers. He told his guy, cut the rope. And his guy cut the rope, and the platform started to drop, and everybody gasped. And then Elisha's elevator brake engaged, and the platform fell 1 foot. And he said, took a big bow and said, all safe, ladies and gentlemen. So the last reason I want you to recruit you guys to help me kill the elevator pitch is we will never beat Elisha Otis's original elevator pitch, pitching his elevator brake. And lastly, we believe in the 3 myths of introductions. Myth number 1, it's about you. It's not about you, it's about who you help and why, and we'll talk about that. The problem with I am or I'm in is it's a great way to end a conversation. I'm an email marketer, I'm a YouTuber, influencer, creator, I'm in online education. Most people answer with a role or a title or an industry like it's some sort of multiple choice exam that you're trying to get correct. It's not, it's the opening to a human conversation with another person. I am or I'm in is a great way to end a conversation. And if your goal is to end the conversation, which happens, just tell them you're from the IRS and they'll leave you alone. Promise. Myth number 2 is that it should be 100% complete. No, completeness is for recipes and blueprints. You want your intro to be interesting. When we make our intros too complete, it sounds like this.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, I'm Genevieve Telford Warren.
Can you describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what it is that you do for a living, Ms. Telford Warren?
Sure, I am a social media brand ambassador for myself from my own account and for a third-party account as well, which belongs to my dog, who's a pet, who I do also brand negotiation deals for him as well. And I do DJing also for party and event and corporate and personal and public. And I do also certified, I'm a lash tech also, but I haven't really done that in a while, but I'm still certified to do it. And I also just do negotiating brand deals for my own account as well and commercial acting as well as modeling and some acting as well.
That's great.
When Genevieve was talking, I really just wanted to fight her. I just wanted to hit her.
Those are guilty laughs because you guys know that sometimes that's how you introduce yourself. That's probably what I sounded like to Matt Mullenweg. So can we fix this? Myth number 3 is that it should be 100% accurate. Trying to be accurate forces us to use these boring, clinical words. Instead, be confident. So the typical intro, how most of us introduce ourselves, we make it about you, complete and accurate. Not negative in a vacuum, but all told together, it ends up with a bad intro. The perfect intro, make it about who you help, make it interesting, and make it confident. All right, you guys want to learn how to do this? Yeah. Yes, okay, the base formula. This is the base formula. I help people achieve a result. I help people achieve a result. And if you can, you don't have to, but if you can get the last part phrased in the framework verb, there, noun, and we'll come back to this. You guys like that? I stayed up all night doing just that little transition for you guys. Thank you. One more time, all right. If you can phrase the last part in verb, there, noun, it's going to be a cool little magic trick later. You're going to be able to use that in lots of different places. All right, so real quick, since you're the one introducing yourself, I know I said it's not about you, so we fixed that with one magical word, help. I help makes it not about you, about who you help. People, okay, so I've given you 75% of it, and I need your help on the last part, achieve a result. What is it that you help people do or achieve or become? And again, if you can, frame that in verb, your noun. That was for you. Some examples using the base formula. We just saw Gina, I help people craft their community. Mike Pacchione, or as Nathan Barry just told me, it's Michael Pacchione. I help people give the best speech of their life. Or Tim could say, I help people write their epic story. I help people, verb, their, noun. And you can throw in an adjective if you want to. Matt could say, I help people win their email game. Anne-Laure could say, I help people design their life. Friend of Craft and Commerce, not here today, Jen Olmsted, could say, I help people fall in love with their website. All right, so rules suck, but we have a few. No buzzwords. Pretend you're talking to a 6-year-old, because as we learned from Einstein, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. And every industry has buzzwords. I've heard a few over the last few days: conversion rate optimization, organic impressions, email deliverability metrics, funnel hacking, and online education. These are fine to use somewhere in your business. Do not use these when meeting a new human being. Shoot for as few words and syllables as possible. You want to shoot for intrigue over information. It's a conversation, not a resume. The goal is to get them interested, not to tell them everything you do and your favorite flavor of ice cream. One of my favorites is my friend Doug Brackman. He says, "We teach people how to meditate at gunpoint." If you're like me, you've tried meditation, but you didn't stick with it. And Doug figured out why. Because there's no feedback loop for meditation. If you lift weights, you're sore the next day. And if you lift weights well, you're probably even more sore the second day. But feedback doesn't have that, or meditation doesn't have that feedback loop. So you try the Calm app, and the next day you're like, my brain's not sore, I don't think this works at all. These guys, they don't point guns at people and demand that they meditate. That's called a hook. That gets you interested. It looks like they're pointing guns at people, but they take you to a very safe gun range and show you how to calm your mind and calm your breath and calm your body, and how meditation can help you calm all that, because by the end of the day, in the beginning you're shooting 25 yards, by the end of the day you're shooting the gun a quarter of a mile down the range, and if your body and your brain isn't calm, you're not going to hit that pie plate at 900 yards. So they created a feedback loop for meditation. So now customize it. This is Howard Moskowitz. In the great spaghetti sauce wars of the early 80s, Prego hired Howard Moskowitz because Ragu was kicking their tomatoes up and down the grocery aisle, and they wanted to beat Ragu. So they said, we need the perfect spaghetti sauce. And long story short, Howard ran a bunch of data, and he figured out there is no perfect spaghetti sauce, only perfect spaghetti sauces, plural. Because I like fiery Diablo, burn your tongue off, and my mom likes garden vegetable because black pepper is spicy to her. So what he figured out, now when you go to the grocery store, there's 17 kinds of Prego and a whole aisle of spaghetti sauce. That added $600 million in 10 years to Prego's bottom line. And I'm telling you guys, there is no perfect intro, only perfect intros, plural. You can have as many as you want. I tell people this, and then months later they come up to me and they're like, but Clay, I'm stuck. I want to get it all into the one perfect. I'm like, no. You can have as many as you want. So here's how to customize it. Change people to who you help. I used to do a lot with crowdfunding, Kickstarter, Indiegogo. I used to say, I help entrepreneurs fund their dreams. But entrepreneurs isn't how we refer to everybody. Here at KIT, everyone's a creator. So I would say, if I walked into KIT 7 years ago and say, I help creators fund their dreams. Tori could say, I help women get rich. Jordan could say, I help founders fire themselves, because she teaches you how to use systems so that you're not the bottleneck in your own business. Dara could say, I help creators clone themselves. Chris could say, I help entrepreneurs scale without burnout. Les could say, I help women find their balance. She's all about balance. Shane could say, I help creators launch micro agencies. That's a cool thing because it's kind of ownable, like Shane sort of owns micro agencies. All right, you guys want to know a ninja trick of how to customize this? No? Yes. It's really simple. Ask them first. When you're going to be in a conversation, when you're on a plane, you're in a cocktail party, you're at Craft and Commerce, and someone's going to say, so what do you do? Just ask them first. There's other better questions that you can ask than, so what do you do, if you want. But if you ask them first, they're going to tell you what they do, and then you'll know the words to customize yours. So now change help to a different verb. I craft, I connect, I break, I teach, I make, I build. Haley could say, I craft events people remember. How about a hand for Haley and the whole event team, Joe and Brent, and everybody's been epic. And Shiv, what a skit. That was great. Barrett could say, I connect entrepreneurs back to themselves. He does some really cool, deep coaching work. Amanda could say, I break experts out of their business prison, and the revenue jumps and spikes into a smooth continuity. Amanda could say, I teach women how to gamify life. Liz could say, I make writing emails easy. And Katie could say, I build tools to empower creators. So how to introduce your company. This was an article in Quartz. It said, startups can't explain what they do because they're addicted to meaningless jargon. The article was accurate and great, but also, it's not just startups, it's all of us. One of the examples from the article was, we visually organize your cloud-based content for cross-platform synergy and distributed access. Who is ready to invest? So just take your perfect intro and just change I to we. My friend Dan Dembski could say, we help people travel lighter. They make a cool product called Unbound Merino, where you only have to grab black and gray and white, and you can wash it in the sink. So you can go to Europe for 2 weeks with the carry-on. Nathan, we help creators grow, obviously. But Chanel's like, Nathan, I'll do you one better. We help creators grow in reverse, right? Tristan could say, we unlock the speaker inside you. And Jen could say, we help creatives fall in love with their website. Chris Voss could say, we help people negotiate like a pro. He was the pro negotiator. I was doing this with an agency called Spherical in New York City, and they were getting really hung up on who their customer is, because their customer is luxury independent boutique hotels, which is great, and that's who their customer is, but it's too many syllables. And so we thought about, how do we say this with no buzzwords? How do we trim it down? And after 15 minutes, we finally said, we help the best hotels in the world tell better stories, because their clients, their luxury independent boutique hotels, see themselves as the best hotels in the world. So a few alternate formulas. I'm X for Y, or we're like X for Y. Sean could say I'm a personal trainer for productivity. We all know what a personal trainer is. We all know what productivity is, but if you don't combine those, now you know pretty much how Sean does it, and he does it with lots of espresso and lots of smiles. Tristan could say we're high rocks for public speaking. I got a peek at Tristan's process yesterday, and there are timers, and there is pressure, kind of like high rocks. Quick on known references, a quick story about the power of known references. So, does anyone know who this character is? Wendy Rhodes, thank you very much. Wendy Rhodes is the in-house therapist on the show Billions, and she is a female, and she is a badass, and she straightens out all these, billionaire hedge fund trader dudes. And I have a friend named Kim who is kind of like Wendy Rhodes in real life. And when I was helping Kim build her website, I used the Wendy Rhodes reference. I was like, Kim is like Wendy Rhodes, but in real life, she's real. And that was fine. It was just testimony on our website, no big deal. About 6 months later, in Sam Parr's Trends Facebook group, which some of you know of, someone said, I want to hire a life coach. And it sounds weird to say this, but I want somebody that's like Wendy Rhodes from Billions. And I replied under that with Kim's website and my screenshot of my testimonial, excuse me, saying that that's who Kim is. 37 comments and 9 clients later, because people understood that reference. Another framework, I turn X into Y, or we turn X into Y. David could say, I turn good ideas into great books. Preston could say, I turn chaos into clarity. He's a solutions architect. My friend Robbie, we turn founders into fundraising and influencing powerhouses. Great kind of website copy. So what's your X for Y, or we turn X into Y? It's not so serious. Have some fun with it. We teach people to meditate at gunpoint. Try to sit next to Doug on a plane and have him say this, and see if you can just go back to your Us Weekly magazine. Sam could say, I keep entrepreneurs out of jail. Gina could say, I teach people magic. And depending on where she pauses, I teach people magic, or I teach people magic. Jay, over here, says, I only teach people one thing. Jay's book has sold 3 million copies, so he's taught lots of people one thing. Dylan could say, comedians roast celebrities, I roast newsletters. And this is my fiance, Angie, I help women own their weird. Notice the caption said, so I decided today would be the perfect day to kill him. She was trying on her red light mask and noticed it looked like a serial killer. So we created a whole skit and wrote a whole thing where she murders me by adding almonds to my smoothie, and I'm deathly allergic to almonds. Thanks for laughing at my death. That's cool. And she thanked Glad trash bags as the sponsor, because at the end of the video, she's still wearing the mask. We had to get a battery pack. And she's carrying my dead body and throwing it in the garbage can. Thanks to Glad for sponsoring this video. And I learned something. Did you know that you could thank a sponsor that didn't sponsor that video? Comedically, you can do that. Tim could say, I help writers improve their posture. And Liz could say, I came here to chew bubblegum and write emails. How short can you go? Gary says, I day trade attention. He's been saying this for 15 years, and then 14 years later, he wrote a book about it. Seth Godin simply says, I notice things. And my friend Jeff Spencer, who trained Lance Armstrong, I build champions. How short can you go? Challenge yourself. So why does this work? Like I said, it's not about you. It's not complete. It's not accurate. It's about who you help. It's interesting, and it's confident. It's interesting. Think of it like a great hook or a great headline. It's flexible and infinite. You guys all have many talents. Now you don't just have a perfect intro. You have a framework to develop a perfect intro for any room you walk into. It's unexpected. People don't expect you to say, we teach people to meditate at gunpoint. It's not even about the perfect words. It's about knowing what you're going to say. Because even really talented professional people like all of you, so what do you do? That doesn't serve you. It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't serve them. It doesn't serve you. George Clooney wasn't born a confident, suave 6-month-old. He has the best writers in the world write lines for him, and then he sits at home and memorizes them, and then he rehearses them. We can all be as confident and suave as George Clooney. You just have to write the words and then practice them. It makes you more referable. I've shown a bunch of examples today that even if you don't know that person, you could refer them business now. If it's not repeatable, it's not portable. If it's not portable, it doesn't spread. Confidence is credibility, even more than the words. Like I said, when you walk in and you know what you're going to say, maybe even customize it to who they are, the confidence is just as important as the words. It gives you consistency in your personal brand. I have a theory that personal brand is not about followers. People who sell personal brand services always say, gain followers, gain random strange people who've smashed the follow button. Personal brand is about owning a word or a phrase in the market. Simon Sinek is the why guy. Brene Brown is the vulnerability woman. Mr. Beast is the YouTube guy. Susan Cain is the introvert woman. You guys know all these. And if I didn't show you Tim Ferriss and I said, who's the 4-hour guy? You would all know it's Tim Ferriss. Think about what word or phrase you want to own, a white space that you can own on the internet, and then build content around that, and the followers will follow. Followers are a trailing metric, not a leading metric. It allows you to connect over story, the story of who you are and who you help. Because after this short little punchy little intro, it should prompt a question. And it's okay if that question is, what do you mean? Or how do you do that? Because now you're in a conversation with this person. And then you get to say magical words, let me tell you a story. Or, can I tell you a story? Which, trivia question, the only question nobody's ever said no to. Nobody ever said, oh no, I filled up on stories this morning. Sorry, I'm good. We want stories. When we say, so what do you do? What we're really saying is, will you tell me a story about what you do? Because our brains love stories. Ira Glass on the power of anecdote. Literally, a totally different part of our brain lights up when we're being told a story, so we should get better at it. Or as my friend Christopher Penn says, no kid ever said, Mommy, please read me a press release. So your case story, really short, we can go into this more later. When so-and-so first found us, when Joe first found us, and then take them on a story. Tell them about Joe, and Joe was 90% perfect until he found you, but that 10%, there was a block. That's what your company does. No big deal, Joe was awesome, and we just helped him do. Now, Joe is boom, and you take him on a story, and then you end with, so that's what I do. And if they remember Joe and all Joe accomplished, and you just happen to be the final Trivial Pursuit pie piece, you win. So where you can use this, because you guys are sitting here at Craft and Commerce, but you're actually introducing yourself right now. I'm going to go fast. Website headlines, because the two most magical words in marketing are not free, it's you and your. Remember I said verb your noun at the beginning? What you help them do or achieve or become? Verb your noun. I used to say I help entrepreneurs fund their dreams. Fund your dream. Just change there to your, and you've got a website headline, a landing page headline, a course name, a podcast title, a book title. Fund your dream. Mike Pacquiao, I help people give the best speech of their life. Guess what his website says? Give the best speech of your life. Jesse Itzler, I help entrepreneurs build their life resume. Guess what his course is called? Build Your Life Resume. We help people fall in love with their website. Fall in love with your website. This is how to write great copy for your headlines and your websites. Make it about them. Use the words your. Book titles. Pat, legend. I help people achieve more by learning less. That's the subtitle of his book. Henri, I help people design tiny experiments. Nisha can say, I help cooks master big flavor. Big vegan flavor is her awesome cookbook. Justin could say, I help creators become sponsor magnets. Even paid ads, like Duolingo, but for finance. This is a great paid ad. I just saw this on Instagram the other day. I know what Duolingo is. It's an app that helps you learn names, and this is that. So what's your website headline? What could it be with verb your noun? Works for social media bios. Dan Martell, I teach founders how to build an empire without burning out. That's his Twitter bio. And notice the buy back your time is also a verb your noun. My friend Robbie Crabtree, I train founders and CEOs how to tell stories worth billions. Robbie has maybe my favorite Twitter bio of all time. I told stories in a courtroom that put away murderers and child abusers. Now I train the world's most ambitious founders and CEOs to tell stories worth billions. That is a good Twitter bio. Email signatures, you can put it there. You can link to your About video. Business cards. Moo.com allows you to put the backs of your business cards to make all 50 different in a pack of 50. So these are mine. I just export my keynote slides to the business cards, and all of you are now in my business cards. So how can you put your client successes or your case stories on your business cards? All right, so one final story I want to tell you guys about the first person I ever met. On his 30th birthday, I was born. And I didn't have the words back then, but I do now. My dad taught me that everyone has a story. He's always talking to people. He's always meeting people and asking them about their life. So, I love you, Dad. So, forget the words. I know you guys, some of you can write down the words. And think about your intro. Think about the word you want to own on the internet and your personal brand. And then forget the words and just say, if you could package up what you do, what you love to do, because I think we all love what we do, what we get to do, into just a few words, who wouldn't want to do business with you? And if you want my help on your perfect intro, I'm happy to review everyone's via email. Just go to clayandnathan.com. Thank you, guys.